How's Carlos doing today?
He's doing better. Obviously, had to scratch him a little bit of hamstring tightness yesterday, so just trying to be super cautious with this and make sure that it doesn't turn into something big. So figured, it was a tough weekend, tough road trip. He played every day on that road trip up until yesterday. So just want to make sure we knock this thing out and get him back in there hopefully tomorrow.
And seeing Naylor in a 2-hole, how much does it help how deep in the counts he can get it from time to time? Is that part of it or no?
Yeah, Bo's been working really good at bats. Again, it's no secret we've struggled to get production in the 2-hole, and Bo's been swinging the bat really well. It helps us with matchups. It helps us with do some different things. And Bo's really earned this opportunity to go to the 2-hole. So we like the way he's been swinging the bat and taking good at bats.
When you face a lineup that's averaging 5.5 runs a game, for pitcher and catcher, can it be almost as mentally taxing as it is physical because of the focus that has to be pitch to pitch?
Yeah, this is one of the best offenses in baseball. We know that. The names are big, but they have holes. There's ways to get every hitter out, and our pitchers and catchers do a great job of game planning. Carl and the pitching team do a great job of preparing, and we believe in our pitchers and going out and getting outs. It's really all you have to think about. Get each out. Doesn't matter who's in the box. Know their tendencies. Know how to get them out. Go execute, and then we'll put some runs on the board.
Stephen, I was not in Detroit, so Nick Enright, could you just talk about what an amazing story it is for him to be pitching now in the majors?
Yeah, it was such a cool moment yesterday for Nick Enright and his family, just battling through cancer, battling through numerous injuries, and then getting to make your major league debut on Strikeout Cancer Weekend. You can't draw it up. Just one of those cool things, and just getting to watch him, 2 scoreless innings. He's got really good stuff, and we haven't seen him pitch really since spring of 24. But just to see all that he's persevered through different organizations, coming back to Cleveland and getting to make his major league debut with the Guardians, it was a really special day yesterday for Nick and his family, and really fortunate we were there to watch it.
Your time with him, Nick, has been brief. He's only been up here a couple days, but what have you noticed about the kind of person that he is?
I mean, just given what he's going through and has been through, and he's just happy. He's calm. Nothing seems to rattle him. I mean, clearly, but just he's a fighter. He's somebody who just is so appreciative of every day that he has, and just wants to go out and pitch and do what he loves. He's fun to be around. He's a kind person. You wouldn't think he's got this killer instinct when he gets on the mound, but he does, just because he's so gentle and kind, and just really, really happy getting to know him.
We've seen Yamamoto this season. Just impressed from him from afar.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best starters in the league. Gets you to fish underneath with the splitter and the curve, and he lives down and away to lefties with the fastball split combination, and tries to wrap the curveball underneath inside corner. So we got our work cut out for us. There is some mistakes, but we have to take what he gives us. He feasts on people trying to get big on him. So we need to stay in the middle of the field the other way, and hopefully throw some hits out there and string something together.
You say that your work's cut out for you. Obviously, what you saw yesterday, what you'll see the next couple of days. Does that keep, not that guys are not motivated, but does that kind of keep everybody's attention up that you're playing the teams you're playing when you're playing them?
Yeah, I think as a whole, hitters want to face the best. You want to measure yourself up against the best, just like a pitcher. You want to measure yourself up against the best. That's what Major League Baseball is. Every night, you're going against the best players in the world. You got to bring your A game every single day in the big leagues. You cannot take one day off, because these are elite athletes and the best at their craft in the world, and they will make you pay. So you have to bring your A game, and this has definitely been a tough stretch for us, and it doesn't get any easier tonight.
Talking about that, I know Ohtani was throwing yesterday. We're not going to see him pitch, but just when you look at all their offensive numbers and see a guy leading almost every category, what stands out to you about Ohtani?
The consistency at which he competes, whether he's hitting, pitching. I've seen him when he's doing both. It's an incredible sight when he's pitching and hitting lead off or third in a game that he's starting pitching. It's just, we have never seen a talent like that in the big leagues ever, and it's just really special to watch him play. And I think you guys know by now, I love watching the best baseball players in the world play, whether they're on our team or not. And it's truly remarkable what Ohtani has done and continues to do.
What's it been like seeing Betts' evolution? Because started his career in outfield and then a year or two ago shifts to being almost a daily infielder.
He's one of the best athletes in the world. I think he's multiple 300 games bowling. I mean, you give Mookie a sport, he'll be one of the best at it. He's just a tremendous athlete. The ability to play premium positions both in the infield and outfield, it's truly special, and that's why he's one of the best players in the world.
With that, Stephen, what do you think the expanded interleague play has done for the popularity of baseball? When the Dodgers are here, people get to see Ohtani and Betts live. What do you think that's done for baseball?
It's made it really great for the fans. The fans get a chance to watch, at least every other year, see every player come through their hometown. It's a lot more work for the staff, but it's definitely something that's become a really cool thing with our game. You look at, there's players, Ryan Braun, a teammate of mine, never got to play at Camden Yards. The guy plays 13 years in the big leagues. Now every player, if you spend 2 full seasons in the big leagues, you'll have played at all 30 stadiums. So it's created a lot more opportunities for people to just enjoy the entirety of the league. And I think the balanced schedule has been a really good change.
You feel like with the expanded wild card and everything, it's kind of balanced things out too late in the season because everybody sees each other at least 3 times?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things, good and bad, that have come with expanded playoffs, but it definitely keeps more teams in the race longer.
I know you never get tired of talking about Hosey, but when you start approaching a 20-game hitting streak, especially in the modern game with relievers as talented as they are, what stands out about him and guys maybe you've seen in the past that they're able to separate the story of the streak and just continue on what they're doing?
Well, the difference between Hosey and we've talked about Ohtani and Betts, these elite players, these are the elite players in the game. They don't change who they are on a day-to-day basis. They stay consistent. So when they start to get into a groove or they start to rattle some good games together, they keep that going because they don't come out of their approach. They don't come out of who they are and what makes them great. And that consistency is what separates the elite players from the really good players. They bring the same tenacity, the same swing, the same approach, a lot more often than the other players, and that's really the big separator.
I love that answer, but I think the common person will say, well, why doesn't everybody do that? Why can't everybody keep the same approach? Why is that so difficult? I guess is what I'm
Not as good. No, they're convicted in who they are. They know what makes them great, and they stick to it. It doesn't matter who's on the mound. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. They go take their at bat, and they take it more consistently than most.
Just gonna ask Fry and Bieber.
Yeah, so Fry is playing in Columbus, and Bieber's throwing a live BP today, and if his week continues to go well, he's slated to start an Arizona League game on Saturday. But we have to go a day at a time still.
Is there a timetable for Fry once he gets to Columbus? Is that a week at a time?
Yeah, again with our rehab calendars, we go 1 week at a time. And I don't, off the top of my head, I don't recall the date where he's eligible with the 60-day IL. I know there is a date where he's available, but we take it a day at a time, week at a time.
Welcome to Cleveland first. Just a long journey to get here, to get to this moment. Just, what are your thoughts just looking back on yesterday and everything that you were able to accomplish?
Yeah, absolutely. A day like yesterday makes the long, winding journey that it's been all the worth it. It was kind of a couple moments stick out to me, but on Friday, being able to tell my wife and my parents in person, seeing it wash over their face, that's a moment that I'll be able to cherish for the rest of my life. And then being able to throw that last pitch yesterday, walk off the mound, see them in the crowd, it's just, I can't even put into words how special that is for me. And then also too, everything that I've gone through these last couple of years, to me, it's just a testament that, while this disease is, a terrible one, I never let it control me. I never let it dictate my life. And yeah, it was just a really just special moment.
Can you take us back to the beginning? What symptoms did you feel, or whatever that may doctors determine what you had?
Yeah, absolutely. So I woke up on the morning of December 18th with what I thought was just a crick in my neck, and then ended up going down to the ER the next day. And then it was a whirlwind, 48 hours of all these tests. And then when they came in and told me, like, hey, we're 99% sure you have Hodgkin's lymphoma, me and my now wife are sitting there in the hospital room like, there's no way. I'm healthy. I feel great. All my numbers in the weight room have been good. My throwing had felt really good. And then we started looking up symptoms, and it's like, man, I've been getting really itchy at night. I've actually been getting night sweats. I had these bumps on my eyelids and eczema on my elbows, and almost every single one of those things was symptoms of Hodgkin's lymphoma. And we were like, oh man, like this is real. And so it was things that we just kind of put off for a while. And so that's why, part of what I want to share with people is, if you feel something, like I'd had these 2 smaller bumps in my neck for honestly the better part of the entire 22 season. And if, just so to anyone, if you feel something, get it checked out.
Who are some of the guys up here that you came up the system with that you're close with, and how were they involved in your story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I'm really close with Cade Smith, Tim, Gaddis, thrown to Bo for feels like my entire life, all these guys. And so it's, the biggest thing is right when I was diagnosed, I really didn't want to tell anyone, because then it was like, if I told people, it made it real. And then I realized as I reached out to people and as I told people, the overwhelming support around, instead of me just standing there trying to take this on all on my own, it was all those people are there supporting me and lifting me up. And so all those people, it's too many to even name, but all those people have just been so helpful to me and so supportive. And yeah, I can't put into words what all of them have done for me too.
Did you ever get discouraged during the recovery process, the whole process?
Oh, absolutely. It's like there were some dark days, and that's when I leaned on all those people around me. There were some outings I had down in the Florida State League when I was with Miami, or when I was coming back in 23 and I was in Columbus, where me and my wife are sitting there and we're like, is all this worth it? Am I doing the right thing? But that's when, again, I really leaned on all those people, and they helped me, truly persevere and get through all this. And yeah, and so it was, all of them were really supportive.
I know it's been a whirlwind, but have you had a moment where you've been able to really process the last 24, 48 hours alone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit. So it was right after I finished my second inning, I came in the dugout, and then in that in between, I kind of like just stepped down in the tunnel and like took a moment just to be like, man, like this really happened. This isn't a dream. Like that was really special. And then got back in the dugout and watched our guys hit. But yeah, so that was really special.
How special was it to have your family there too and have a moment with them after all of this?
Oh, it was incredible. Like I can't even put into words all the sacrifices they've made, not especially these last couple of years, but my entire life, and like to be able to share that with them that's been the greatest part of all this.
Was there a moment that you had to consider potentially walking away from baseball?
I don't know if there was necessarily a moment, but it crossed my mind where, especially right when I'm diagnosed, when I have, I found out on the 19th that it was probable, diagnosed on the 22nd, and then on December 26th, I have a port in, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, am I ever going to be able to throw again? Like, especially if this is what I'm going to have to end up going through. And so there were moments where that happened, and that's why yesterday happening made it all the more sweeter.
What was the moment you found out you were getting called up, and then can you walk us through the moments you got to tell your family, your wife, all that good stuff?
So Cody Buchel, the AAA pitching coach, tapped me on the shoulder and said that Andy Tracy wanted to see me in the back office, and that's when they told me that I was going to be heading to Detroit. That was really special to be able to hug all of them, celebrate with them, step out, because it was Tracy and Cody and then the Brandon League, the assistant pitching coach. And then when I opened up the door of Tracy's office, all the other AAA coaches were all there and staff. So it was nice being able to hug all of them. And then I texted my wife and I texted my parents like, hey, do you guys mind meeting me just outside the entrance that I come in, which isn't normal. Usually I wait and I meet them in the parking lot. And so my wife was she was worried. She's like, is something wrong? Is there anything going on? And so being able to walk outside, I mean, it's hard for me to contain it. And so I think when I walked outside, they kind of knew, but again, being able to tell them in person and just seeing it wash over their face and hug them and everything after everything that's gone on these last couple of years, it was just super special.
When you got called back then, did you anticipate that's what they wanted to tell you, or were you thinking it could be something else?
Honestly, no. You know, it's like I always, me and my wife joked, like we always thought maybe we'd have an idea just with being around it as long as I have of we kind of have a feeling of when this would come, but we were pretty blindsided by it, but it was a good conversation to have.
What were the nerves like just yesterday in that first inning facing the first couple of hitters?
You know, it was really surprising. When I stepped out for the national anthem on Friday night, I expected to feel super overwhelmed. You know, it's big leagues, it's a big league stadium, but I remember standing up on the line and I'm looking at the base pass and I'm looking at the mound, and it's the exact same size of any field I've played on for the last 10 years. And I remember feeling a lot calmer and much more at peace than I thought I would. And then after I'd finished warming up and when I jogged in, we stopped for a minute to play the God Bless America. And so I was standing out there with the umpire, being able to just kind of collect my thoughts, take a deep breath. I used that time to just kind of think of everything that had gone on these last couple of years, all the obstacles that I've been through, everything that mine and my parents have overcome. And then when the song finished, I was like, all right, let's go play baseball.
What do you hope young athletes can learn from your story?
Yeah, my goal is, you know, one of the reasons that I wanted to help share my story is because when I was diagnosed, one of the first things I did is I looked up other professional athletes who had gone through similar battles as me, whether it was Anthony Rizzo, John Lester, James Conner, you know, and being able to read their stories, I was able to connect because almost every one of them was similar. They felt great. There was no reason. This came out of nowhere. And then each one of them were able to battle through it. And that's why sports can be a great metaphor for life, because you don't have to be a professional athlete to go through this. The biggest thing was not letting it control me and not letting it dictate how I was going to live my life. And so that's the biggest thing for anyone else who's going through something similar to this, to not let it consume you and not let it become everything that you are, and just for me, it's just been trying to live my life as best as I can and not letting that dictate me.
And can you, without getting into real details, what was the treatment that you had to go through?
So I went through, it was called immunotherapy. And so I've gone through, and so at first when they were talking about me doing chemotherapy, I was going to do what's called RCHOP, where each one of those letters stands for a different chemical. The immunotherapy is just the R, where it's just rituximab. And so what I do is I've gone through 12 total treatments. Usually I do them in rounds of 4. And so I did my first ones in between January and February of 2023, where I do it once a week for 4 straight weeks. I did one at the All-Star break in 2023. And then I did 3 more in October of that 2023, in October of 2023, and then I did 4 more at the end of this past year between October and November of 2024. And so I've done 12 total, and now I have 4 more this upcoming off season. And then once I finish that, fingers crossed, everything will be all good to go. But I've been fortunate that all of my scans, all my checkups, all my blood work, and all that kind of things have all shown up really well. I can't say highly enough about my doctor, Dr. Michael Duvas at University of Virginia, and everyone at the Cancer Society has just been second to none. Super, super incredible, super helpful and supportive, because there's no playbook for going through something like this. The form of cancer that I have is super, super rare and very unique, and there was no standardized playbook for how to go through all this. And so that's why I can't thank them enough for working with me and through me. And I think, you know, there's something to be said too. It's not a coincidence that everything has gone well with me also living my life as normal as I can, being outside, being active, you know, because I know especially during those first round of treatments when I'm at home and I'm staring at the same 4 walls every day, that's where I really leaned on my wife, where she's dragging me outside like, hey, you got to get out. We got to go walk around, even though it's 40 degrees and gray and cold in Virginia, just to get outside and not be staring at the same 4 walls. And so I really think there's something to be said for that as well.
What's your wife's name?
Erin.
Did you pick 59, or was that given to you?
That was given to me. And then it was actually my mother-in-law told my wife that that was the same number that Carrasco wore. And so between wearing the same number as him being there for me when I was initially diagnosed, just over 2.5 years ago, on top of it being in Detroit for Strikeout Cancer Weekend, it's not a coincidence, I feel like.
Has Carlos reached out to you during the weekend or since you've been called up?
He has not, but I did get a really, really kind text from Liam Hendricks last night. So that was one of the cooler ones, in the flurry of messages. But that was I really appreciated that. That was awesome.
What's just the mentality, because you've accomplished so much and just a milestone of the weekend, but how do you kind of keep the same mentality of, going into second outing and everything and stuff?
Absolutely. So, for me, it's super happy with how yesterday went and everything, but, the goal isn't to just debut. The goal is to come up here, take the ball every time my name is called, do everything I can to, help this team win games. That's been my goal at every level that I've been at. And so it's just carrying over that same mindset and having a day like yesterday where I felt like I belonged and I felt like I am and my stuff is more than good enough. A day like yesterday just helped propel me forward.
The potential to pitch in front of a home crowd, is there any different emotions that go into that versus yesterday?
Absolutely. Just because, Cleveland has been so supportive, everyone in the front office and all the coaching staff and everyone, through everything that I've gone through, not just from these last couple of years, but drafting me in 2019 and all the development that they've poured into. It'd be really special for me to be able to, play here at home at a place that has been home for me.
We were talking to Stephen Vogt earlier, and he described your personality just like what's coming across here, but it says once you get on the mound, you've got a bit of a mean streak. So is that true? And talk about that.
Yeah, so for me, it's when I step across those lines, it's a much more, kind of attack mentality. And, for me, I'm confident in my stuff, in my ability. And so when I get out there and get on the mound, for me, it's just kind of laying it all out there.